Today on the Transplant Helper, I want to share with you 4 things you probably should have started doing yesterday in order to give you the best and highest quality visit with your doctor you can possibly have. Stay tuned. Hit the subscribe button and the bell notification to become part of the Transplant Helper community. Hey folks, welcome back to the Transplant Helper again today. My name is Jim Merle, and yes, I think what I'm going to tell you today will help you tremendously, particularly during the time of COVID we've been going through for so very long, way too long, and it will help you out, especially when you go in to see your local doctor, whether it be for a follow-up, a checkup, or maybe into your clinic for some type of diagnostic type visit. I promise you this will help you a tremendous amount to make sure that you get the right and the best quality care you possibly can. It's going to consist of 4 things. Each of these things start with the letter R, so you know how I like to make my words rhyme. It's called alliteration, by the way, if you want to look that up. But all these are going to start with the letter R, and they're just things you need to keep in mind, to roll back through your mind, to make sure that you're absolutely going to do your part, at least during the visit, to make sure your care is completely great. And the very first one is the word repeat, okay? The word repeat. Now, imagine just for a moment, we'll use a migraine headache, for example. I've been suffering with migraines all of my life, and so we'll use a migraine headache, for example. Imagine for a moment that you go in to see your doctor, and they say, hey, Jim, here's what we're going to do. We're going to treat your migraines by first giving you some medication. We're going to change your diet just a little bit, and we're going to ask you, if you don't mind, to keep a really thorough journal as to what you're eating every day and what the triggers might be, or even external triggers might be, like, say, getting out in the bright sunlight, that may be triggering your migraines and making them worse. And when they do that, the very first thing I'm going to do, after they kind of finish with what we would call in the South their spiel, and they tell me what they want or what their plan is, I'm going to in turn look back at them and say, okay, if you don't mind, can you repeat that? Now, you may be like I am and say, well, you know what? Why would I say repeat it? Because I've already heard it. I understood what he said. It wasn't that hard to keep up with those 3 things. So, how difficult is it? Well, basically, in my mind, by asking them to repeat, you're almost getting kind of a second opinion in this. And by asking them to repeat, then that causes them to want to go back in their mind, kind of review back in their mind, and to rethink what they said and how they said it to make sure that they haven't been misunderstood. And in doing that, sometimes they'll kind of rethink things. In doing that, sometimes they'll kind of come back and say, well, what I said was that I wanted you to, take some medication. What I said was I wanted you to change your diet. What I said was I wanted you to journal. But now that I think about it just a little bit more, I'm not exactly sure that's what you need to do. As a matter of fact, let's hold off on the medication for a little bit. Let's make these changes to your diet. You keep a journal, and maybe we'll just stumble across some kind of a trigger that is causing you to have these migraines. And maybe by doing that, we'll discover that you don't even need a medication right now. So I'll start out by asking them to repeat what they've said. Number 2, then in turn, I'm going to do my part now, and that is I'm going to respond. I sometimes will even say reflect in this. I'm going to respond. And what I mean by responding is just what it sounds like. They're going to make a statement of what their treatment plan might be. I'm going to in turn have them to repeat that, which I just illustrated, and then I'm going to in turn respond to them by saying, okay, here's what I heard. Here's the way I heard it. And I may go back and say, okay, what I heard was that you first said we were going to add some medication, but I'm understanding now you're thinking maybe that's not the best plan right out of the gate. Maybe we'll just go with the diet changes and the journal. Is that right? And they'll say, yeah, that's exactly right. As a matter of fact, I think what we're going to do is we're going to come back in a month, maybe, potentially add the medication. So you see, just by me asking them to repeat, and then me in turn responding to that, what I've actually done is given them the opportunity to think over it again. And so I've taken that first opinion, made it into a second opinion, and perhaps even brought it pretty close, at least, to being a third opinion, because they're continuing to rethink these things in their mind. And I think that can be absolutely great. Now, that's to repeat, that's to respond. And then the third thing you need to do, and this is right toward the end of the visit, you need to review, okay? Just review. Don't act like, don't feel uncomfortable with this, or don't feel like you're some kind of an idiot or like you don't listen well, but review with them exactly what all has gone on in that visit. Maybe they've had some blood draws. Maybe they've had some test results that were done at a prior time. And you think to yourself, you know what, let me just review this, because what he told me was he was going to potentially put me on medication, changed my diet, asked me to do a journal, but I just recalled that he took some blood work the last time I was here. I never heard out of it. And so you're just going to review the visit again, and you might add that detail in yourself, and that within itself might be very helpful to him. And he may turn and say, or she may turn and say, you know what, we didn't go over the blood work. Let me look at that. And then he looks in the blood work and he says, wow, your magnesium is extremely low. So it could be that your migraines are being caused by your magnesium being so low, which, by the way, is a fact. Some people have migraines that are triggered, including myself, by magnesium levels getting low. And post-transplant, that's almost a part of life. So just review the visit with them. That can be very helpful in making sure that you're both all on the same page and that you've really gotten down pat what they wanted you to know. And you can in turn use that a little bit later, as you move on to, say, the next appointment and such. Now, so you repeat, you respond, you review, and then the last place here, you're going to research, okay? This is where you've left the office, and if you're like I am, sometimes you're still in the parking lot or parking deck, and you start doing a few Google searches. Now, I don't want you to turn into a Google Doc, and I mean by that a Google Doctor. I don't want you to turn into a Google Doc. I don't want you to start rethinking or questioning everything your doctor does. Obviously, he or she have had decades of experience and such, and they really know a whole lot more than this than you could ever learn, and don't think that you can outdo them. But it is helpful to do research. I've said it so many times, knowledge is always power. And in this case, knowing your condition, knowing your situation, knowing your treatment, which you just learned a lot about that in the doctor, hopefully knowing all of those things can really be a huge assistant to you in making sure that you are going to offer the doctor the best information on the next visit, or even in this one, and knowing that you understand and you know why they're doing things, and you understand the importance of maybe the treatment they have prescribed, or maybe you understand the importance, particularly in the case of migraines. For me, I understand the importance of what I do and how my diet and my stress levels and all can play into the fact that, yeah, I have some migraines. I have some severe migraines. And so just do your research, do your digging, go into Google, go into some of these forums, go into the Facebook groups sometimes, and just ask questions. Again, don't try to go back to your doctor and say, well, I saw on Google this and you're wrong. You're not using it like that. Not at all. You're just simply using this to educate yourself and to give yourself that knowledge that can become power to make it possible for you to get the highest quality treatment. Because let me tell you one thing right here as we close. You and I, listen closely, you and I, as transplant patients, we deserve the best treatment in the world. You hear that? We, as transplant patients, we deserve the best, highest quality treatment in the world. Everybody does, but particularly us. We love us, right? We deserve that. And you're going to really increase your chances of getting such. When you go into that doctor, go into that clinic visit, whatever, go in for those tests, and you know what you're talking about, and you're able to apply these things as you go in. So just to review, repeat, respond, review, and then do your research. I promise you, this will help you out, and I promise you, you'll get the best quality care at all possible. So thank you so much for joining me today. I love each and every one of you. If you got any questions or comments, put them in the comments section below. Send me an email over at jim@thetransplanthelper.com, or even you can do this. Text me. My personal number will be here on the screen. Be sure to text me. I would love to hear from you and love to assist and help in any way that I can. But until next time, stay stronger, friends.